If your ad doesn't have a heart, it will not perform well. So to the clicks but no conversions things, a ton of ads get a lot of clicks and really good thumb stop ratios that don't have a heart and they don't perform well. And I think that is kind of what's going on in our marketing world right now.
All right, so now it's time for the action of the month. So, I think one of the biggest challenges marketers and business owners face in general is there's so many things you could do, right? And you might get to the end of the month and say, my business didn't really change this month. It's because we get so sucked into all of this swirling world, too many things happening. So, our charge, our recommendation, our commission to you is to listen to Ben run through this action of the month and go out and do this. You're going to spend, what do you think, Ben? No more than 30 minutes to get this knocked out. And I think you're going to immediately see the impact in your business. And the more time you spend on it, the more impactful it's going to be. But I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, thank you. We just actually, like, right before I hopped on this, we had this talk in our mentor table discussion in our workshop in Nashville, which is basically there's a heart to your creative, right? It's not just about tricking somebody into stopping and tricking somebody into purchasing. There is a heart behind it that if you can find and connect with, that's where the real winning ads come from, right? And we just had a mentor table student who has this tactical pen, right? It's a real touchy thing. It's all feature based. It's about what it can do. And we were saying, hey, what's the heart behind this though? People aren't really necessarily in the market, a lot of them, for tactical pens. What are they in the market for? Well, they're in the market for security. And he did an ad that said, we don't sell pens, we sell peace of mind. And he's already seeing that work. And that was just a cool kind of proof of concept that this stuff really does work on Facebook, and it's kind of the key to unlocking creative growth. So I want to start a poll. What is your biggest struggle with ad creative? Now, I get a lot of people. I actually added one to this list for myself because I hear one from a lot of people, and I'm excited. I have an idea as to what I think will win, but I want to see if that's the case. John, do you have what's your biggest ad creative struggle?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say it's probably the production capacity for me individually. We actually have an amazing team, but there's this saying Ryan Dice said when I used to work at Digital Marketer that always stuck in my head, which is the cobbler's kids have no shoes, right? We spend less time producing new
Very
creative for our own business. So we have tons of great ideas, but we get a little blocked on the production capacity. So I know it's actually something I've got on the docket for this week and next is to meet with Ben and say, hey, how can we treat ourselves more like a client to get more
Yeah.
stuff made?
Yeah, that's the one I added to the list, and that was the one that I thought was going to be the most popular. As it turns out, looks like I'm wrong. So it looks like kind of what we talked about earlier, John, with the click-through rate being good and the conversion rates not happening. Looks like the majority of people are saying clicks but no conversions. That is fantastic. That is a great place to be because that is exactly where we're going. And I think that once you leave this discussion, you'll have a better idea as to, okay, people are clicking but not converting. What is the deal? And it has a lot to do with the heart of your ad. So I have to close this out again because every time, oh, no, escape. There you go. You just hit the escape key and it goes away. So anyway, if your ad doesn't have a heart, it will not perform well. So to the clicks but no conversions things, a ton of ads get a lot of clicks and really good thumb stop ratios that don't have a heart and they don't perform well. And I think that is kind of what's going on in our marketing world right now. We have a ton of people that share marketing advice, that share creative advice, and it's all about the hook. It's all about how do you get people are goldfish, right? They don't have any attention spans. They're looking this way and that way. And it's a real cynical way to think about what we do. And it's why when you tell people, hey, I make Facebook ads, they're like, I really don't like you because they're so annoying and they're always in your face. This is what makes it fun for me. This is why I like doing what I do. And this is, I think, the best way to do it. So we're going to talk about how to get that done for you. And people call this the hook, right? That's what we're calling the hook. The hook is basically the hook and the hand is the heart of your message. So let me explain this analogy a little bit. So the hook is over here. It's on the left side. I grew up fishing. My dad tried to force me to fish as much as he could. I never really got into it because it's called fishing. It's not called catching, right? We didn't always do a whole lot of catching, and a lot of times ads are the same way. But we have to have a hook, right? We have to have something that gets their attention. Yes, people's attention span is short. Yes, they're on social media to, digest, to turn their brain off, basically, right? And we have to find a way to turn it back on. But the conversion, in my opinion, happens with a hand. And we have to offer people a hand up from where they've fallen down, right? So in this picture, this person, imagine them on the ground. They need a hand up. They need a transformation. They need something to be different in their lives. And once you've got their attention, you're saying, here it is. I'm the person to help you. Grab my hand and we're going to help you up. And that's how we get a conversion. And the connection between those two things, that is the heart of your message. So let me go ahead and share with you our top hooks. So I'm going to go down the left side here first. So these are all from our hook library, right? All of these things, oh, I clicked again. All of these things will be included with descriptions and examples in the hooks library that we will share with you all at the end of the show. But looking at our accounts right now, these are the top 14 that we're seeing. The big one, which we are going to talk about at length in the rest of this action of the month segment, is the big hook. It's problem solution. You have this problem. Here's the solution. Here's how we, as the guide, help you, the hero, the customer, the hero, overcome a challenge, right? It's the classic story formula. It's Donald Miller, it's Build a Story brand. Everybody uses this, and every story is written this way because it works. Did you know? So sometimes we have to create that problem. Sometimes we have to show the person that they are actually on the ground. And we do this by dropping a statistic. We say, did you know that you actually have this problem you haven't seen? Here's how I'm going to help you up. Educate, very similar. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you a piece of information that, now having known this information, you're grateful to know it, but you also need a solution afterwards. Insecurity and anxiety. So this one is not, which I never really thought this, but I got this feedback at Mentor Table and I was like, oh gosh, please no, it's not causing insecurity and anxiety in people. It's speaking to people's insecurities and anxieties and helping them, using that hand to help them out of it, right? So we're not making people insecure or anxious. People are plenty insecure and anxious already. We're going to help them out from where they're feeling that way. Status. This is for luxury brands or for things that have badge value, right? Here's how what we do is going to elevate you, pull you up from a lower perceived status to a different group, maybe access to people, a different, way of carrying yourself. So that's a pretty simple one. Feel is emotion. So I'm talking about anything that I feel a negative thing and I want to feel better. So this is an emotional one that we use all the time. Customer testimonial. That is a huge one, right? That is a trust building exercise to say, okay, our customers have had this transformation. Our customers have taken our hand and have been helped up, and they basically are saying, hey, you should do the same thing. Take this hand that's been offered to you. Making this mistake. It's kind of like a did you know hook, except for we're targeting something they're already doing. So you're already doing something that's bad. Here's how you're going to fix it. Comparison. This is like something else that can either be positive or negative. Like, hey, this is like another solution. This is like another helping hand that you've tried, or this is like, or what you're currently doing is like something negative. So we're just using something that's familiar. That works for really novel things. If you have something that's harder to understand, make it familiar with the comparison. Values is saying, here's how it is. And to use a Kentucky slang, like it just ain't right. It just ain't right. And here's how we fix it. Here's how our mission, this is a lot of the mission statement type of stuff, is to make that right. Join our mission as well. origin story. That's anything. So this could be a founder story. A lot of people do it that way. They say why we founded the business. It blends really well with the values hook. It could be the origin of the idea. It's just a trust building exercise. Blame shift. This is an interesting one. We're saying basically something is wrong in your life that you're blaming yourself for, and we're going to turn that around and say it's not your fault, but here's how to fix it. That's a really effective one for more personal issues. Shock. This is, we want to do this in a loving way. We don't want to traumatize people or use it just for the sake of using it. We use this one pretty infrequently, but if there is something that is legitimately and genuinely shocking that we can pull forward, that we're helping somebody out of a bad situation, we might as well use that as a hook, right? And the last one is relevance. This is basically anything that's currently in the zeitgeist. So I give a relevance hook to anything that if you see it, you say, oh, this couldn't have been made a year ago. This is talking about something that is currently going on. So that we see that one actually work really, really well, because it stops you, right? You have a certain level of trust for something that you were like, okay, this was made recently. So anyway, so that's just kind of some background. So those are some ideas that you can be thinking about while we do this exercise. But I'm going to give you 3 concrete steps that you can go and then craft the perfect hook for your ad. And they're all going to be around problems. They're all going to be around pain points. And so that is why I've included this image. Again, ChatGPT 4.0, super easy. If you're trying to make presentations, just go in there and say, womanette therapist, because I don't have to worry about copyright. I don't have to worry about anything else. And it gives me something really good. So a lot of these images are going to be from ChatGPT. But the biggest problem that I see is that people think that they're solving a problem that people have, that they're actually, that person that they're targeting doesn't feel the same. They don't feel like they have that problem. So the first step is to identify, why do they need a hand up, right? And I have a little analogy later to kind of show why this is important. But this is the number one reason that ads don't work, is because, like this image here on the right, viewers don't think they need your hand to help them up. They might be on the ground. It might be a legitimate, dangerous situation in which they need help, but they're chilling, right? They're sitting on their phone, relaxing on Facebook, and they see a hand out for them, and they're saying, I don't need help up. I'm chilling here on the couch, right? So we have to paint a picture for them. And I think that here are the top reasons why people don't grab your hand, right? Why we're getting clicks that don't convert. And the number one, well, one of the reasons is that they're not convinced that they're on the ground, right? Somebody doesn't see themselves as needing help. And if somebody doesn't need help up, they're not going to grab your hand, right? Because they're content to be where they are. So your job is to convince them that they're on the ground, right? The second is they don't trust it. So the ad scent might be off, or the explanation of your product or your service isn't good enough to where they're like, yeah, I don't really think you could pull me up, right? Like, I'm down here in this situation and I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm not convinced that your solution is the one for me. I'm going to wait for a different hand to pull me up, or I'm just going to stay here, right? And that happens in the explanation of how you do what you do and how you show somebody that you are capable of doing that transformation, right? Another one, they want to be helped up, but not right now. That is a problem. Yeah, I understand, but I'm not really willing to break this attention cycle that I'm just scrolling through Facebook. Yeah, it would be nice to have that solved, but there's no urgency behind it. There's no reason to act now. And I think that's where relevance comes in a big time in how we frame our offers. And so they think getting up will be too hard. They say, yes, I want to take that hand, but I'm so dirty. It's been so long since I've stood up. The explanation of how you've said that you're going to pull me up is just too hard. I don't think I'll be able to do it. And this is the biggest one, I think. And they just don't understand it. They don't see your hand. You think that you're standing over somebody and saying, hey, buddy, I'd love to help you up right here. That's what you think your ad is saying, but it's actually not. It's saying something completely different, and you're not connecting with that person who doesn't really realize they might be on the ground. So remember, your job is not to meet them there on the right side where they know, where they're already on the ground, where they're already really looking for a solution. Your job is to meet them there on the left where they're scrolling through their phone. They're not necessarily in shopping mode at all or in lead magnet taking mode. They're just kind of, going about their day. They want to turn their mind off for a little bit. Our ads are what has to get to them to consider themselves there. Because trust me, there are areas in their life, there's areas in everybody's life where they are on the ground and they need a helping hand up. But if we don't prime them to consider that, then they're going to gloss over it, right? So our job is to get them in the frame of mind to where, okay, maybe I am on the ground and need a helping hand. And then lastly, we just help them up by convincing them to take us up on our offer. And so here's a simple exercise you can do. So what is a situation in which my avatar faces the struggle I solve the most poignantly? This is literally the first exercise that I do when I come up with ads, right? Because just a little behavioral science tidbit for you all. Context is what we use as humans to create emotions. All of our emotions are predictions about our surroundings that we've kind of created through what we've been taught, our life experiences, and all of those kind of mix together in our brains as context. And that's what produces emotions. So hack here, if you want to produce an emotional response, use a context, right? Think about a context in which somebody thinks of themselves as being on the ground, as needing that help up, as poignantly as possible. And that's where I start. Every single time I brainstorm, that's exactly where I start. So do this exercise, and I guarantee you a ton of ad ideas will come up. All right. So that's number one, identify the problem. Number two, use the right emotion to motivate your audience. Now, this picture on the right here, who kind of looks like me, I kind of like to think everything that I put out of ChatGPT like looks like me a little bit. And I don't know if that's like a weird, like I'm just inserting myself, or if it's like a AI like understands. I don't know. I'll dig into that one more as we go. But basically the thing that you can do, one of the most powerful things you can do in your creative is to target the same motivation that gets somebody up out of bed in the morning, right? So we all have motivators that basically drive us to make every single decision that we do. And if we can just position our offer as position our hand up as serving that same motivation that they make all their other decisions by, then it becomes a no-brainer. That's when it becomes literally a no-brainer. It becomes a bodily and an emotional response. And so my favorite book about marketing of all time, Marketing to Mind States by Will Leach, goes into this concept where basically here are 9 basic human emotional motivators by which we make every single decision that we make. So every single decision is based on either a desire for or a lack of, like we want more of this, or we lack it, so we want it in general. And so you can go through this list, and basically one of these things are going to jump out to you all in how you're thinking about the offer that you have. You're saying, oh, my offer really does help somebody belong, or my offer does help someone have a feeling of security. If you can take that and put it in the language, in the story of your ads, then you are targeting their internal motivation, right? It's no longer, I'm going to push you so hard that you decide to convert and take me up on the ad. It's that, hey, I'm here with you. This is a no-brainer decision because this is going to help me accomplish the goals in my life that I already have, right? So read this book, take this list, and go through and see, hey, where does my avatar fit in here? What if they were to take me up on my offer, it's because they want X, and it'll be in this list. Choose 2 or 3, and that'll really help you kind of get a sense for your ad idea. So use the right emotion to motivate them. Last part is really simple, right? It's just use a visual hook to show the problem in the beginning, right? We're taking that context, we're taking that problem, and we're taking the emotional motivator, and what situation, what visual way, how can I show this in a way to where somebody sees it, they are immediately there. They are immediately, okay, now I'm on the ground. I'm in this situation where I need a hand up. I need a helping hand. In what situations do people find themselves? How can we show that visually? And you can use the creative styles guide as a really good way to go through and say, okay, this ad format supports the way that I want to tell that story. So that was long-winded. It's a lot of actions, but it's my favorite thing to talk about. And hopefully will help you get a sense for how to brainstorm some emotionally motivating, powerful creative.
Yeah, that was fantastic, Ben. And I think it's good to remind people the Hook Library, right? Great
Right.
resource been put together that's been shared, has a lot of practical examples because I think one of the hardest things is that was a bunch of really good information, but you're kind of like, okay, what does this look like in
Yes.
my business, right? And so I think really the best way to learn is to look at examples. But one question I have quick, Ben, and then we'll do this next section is
Yeah, of course.
when we're thinking about a hook, how does that fit into an existing ad? Are you thinking that a hook is we change the first 10 to 15 seconds? Is it a complete redo of the ad? Like, what's the context people should think about the hook as fitting into their pitch and their customer testimonials they might include in the creative?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends on a couple of things. Like, if you are a market-centric business, then there's an infinite number of hooks you can come up with, right? Because the hook, I think, should be the same in the offer on your landing page, on your sales page, as the one from the ad. So if you are, where does the hook fill into this whole thing? It's not just let me go out and try all of these random ones and see if they just filter in. This is the heart of the message that you're sending. So sometimes like three ads who have the same first 10 seconds, I'm calling different hooks because once you get later and later and later in the video, the whole story combined should tell you one thing. I know that it's a hard vocab word because we think of hook as the first 5 seconds. It surely is the most important. It absolutely is the most important. I'm not saying don't care about that, but it's the overall message of your ad. It's to where if you could see the ad with fresh eyes, I've never seen this before, I've never heard of this product. I'm going to watch it. And what is the message I'm left with? What's the transformation I'm going to kind of like experience? And that is what I'm calling the hook of the ad. And it's not necessarily just the first 5 seconds or first 10 seconds, even though that is really important. Does that
Perfect.
answer your question, do you think?
Yeah, exactly right. I just felt like that was something where I think it's a good context. One of the hardest things in all of this marketing game is definitions because we all
It's
mean
vocab.
slightly different things. So I think it's a good grounding for us in that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
We like to say that a hook is something that existed before the internet, right? So I love the fish market example. I don't know why, but I love fresh fish. But you're walking down a fish market in the second century, and somebody says, "Hey, my fish are fresher than his," right? That's a hook. Or my fish has the best price. That's a hook. And those are all things that it's just kind of the overall message, not necessarily a tactical Facebook ad strategy.